viewers. I'm Vibhuti Jha. This is Jaipur Dialogue USA, and I'm coming to you with a request. Please like, subscribe, and support our channel. Give your feedback. Adani is back, and so is the United States gameplay with reference to India as a whole. Remember, as I have often said before, that Adani is only a target. The real target belongs somewhere else, and that is to stall India's rise to 2047, which Prime Minister Modi had declared many times over. Now we know about Adani. Everybody knows about Adani. He's more famous around the world, famous or infamous around the world, thanks to Hindenburg Report, George Soros, and the likes of people. Now you probably have seen the huge amount of coverage of this news item on many channels, including social media. And what do we know? What we do know is that these are allegations because Adani was seeking to raise funds from the US markets. Now, yes, US market has a right to know about the potential borrower or investor in the United States money market or the financial instruments. They have a right to know. However, they do not have the jurisdiction to charge somebody with a crime which is unproven, which they themselves say these are allegations until proven. So, what is the intent of this one? This is important to understand because this is an event which will have an impact and implication on India-US relationship as well. And there are many other players in the gameplay. That's what is important to understand, the impact and implication for various players in this game. We know for sure that Hindenburg was a company that shorted stocks. They created reports, short the stocks, and make money off that. It's a standard practice here in the name of freedom. Let's talk about that as well a bit later. And they created a ruckus. The market fell. Investigations happened. Adani lost market share, and then he bounced back because all the allegations were proven wrong. That's the important part. Now this is back again that he bribed personally, was running a scheme of bribery and persuading the governments to vote to do things in his favor. Guess what? The four governments, state governments that have been implicated in this willy-nilly, they are all non-BJP governments that you know now, other than the Odisha government. So the question arises, they were all Indie allies. So when Rahul Gandhi is asking for Adani's arrest based on what? An allegation? Well, in that case, Rahul Gandhi, you should know, and you must know that you are out on bail. Should you be also arrested and put behind bars because your bail is not required? You are a national risk in more ways than one? That's the important question that people must answer. The other element which is also big in play is that bribery. Bribery is something Adani ran the whole scheme himself, and he was going and talking to the various leaders about the money to be paid. Now, remember one thing, there's a very interesting difference. People talk about the rules-based governance. Who makes the rules? The rule that is made in the US, in my country, is called lobbying. Let's not forget that. Adani also announced a $10 billion worth of investments and creating 15,000 jobs in America post-Trump victory. And what people are saying and talking about is also the fact that there are certain deep state players in the State Department who are pro-Pakistan, and they are trying to create and derail Indian economy. If you remember, a few days ago, two Pakistanis were talking about, we will nuke India so that no investments will come. Think about it. This is what is called nuking Indian investment because the most prominent of the infrastructure development tycoon, Adani, has been hit hard. Now, who are Adani's challengers? In Africa, Kenya canceled the order. Who are the players who are against Adani in the infrastructure battle? The one country that stands out is China. China has invested heavily in Africa, everybody knows, in South America, and they want to capture the many of the infrastructure things, which is where Chinese use their sovereign funds and their killer contracts to trap the countries into submission. Adani is that guy. I personally do not know him. I do not hold any brief for him. I want to make it clear to you. But what is important here is as a banker, we know how the games are played. In America, the rules based system is called lobbying. And we all know that from lobbying firms, from pharmaceutical industries to insurance industries, oil giants, defense industry, the Ed Cox of the world, Elon Musk included, Elon Musk of the world, Jeff Bezos, George Soros. These people are known to be massive lobbyists in the US government as well as politicians. We know that. But this is a very important part. Not forget the name of Bill Gates as well, or Fauci as well. Think about it how these people have manipulated the system of the global trade and investment and management of those resources. Here is another very important part. The sanctions, I'm talking about the impact and implication. And I feel, somewhere along the line, I feel and I fear for America, the beacon of democracy and prosperity in the world around is ending up probably checkmating itself. Think about it. A while ago, I had mentioned that sanctions as an instrument of enforcing a particular agenda is going to boomerang on United States. If United States had not been sanctioning countries around the world because they hold dollar reserves, because they are the ones who are printing the dollar as a trade item, as a financial instrument of settlement of trade and debts, if US begins to sanction countries and seize their assets, people will begin to look at alternatives. Thanks to technology, people have found alternatives. We know that how India's UPI and how the BRICS countries are coming together to find alternate payment and trade settlement currencies and methodologies to counter and create an alternative to dollar, which leads to the conversation about de-dollarization. De-dollarization, of course, doesn't mean that dollar will not matter anymore. What it means to say that dollar's share in international trade and payment mechanism will inevitably decline. That's very important. And with this kind of a thing, that if US stock market is the largest in the world, it's very sophisticated, and it's a pride for many companies to be listed on New York Stock Exchange or finding investors from United States. Now look at it this way. If United States found that Adani is a corrupt guy and he's peddling money to get favors, all that it had to do was to deny him the right to borrow money from the US market or list on New York Stock Exchange or NASDAQ or wherever. That was the correct way to do it. Deny him the right to borrow money from America. But to allege that he is indulging in corrupt practices to bribe in another country, that is absolutely going beyond the limits of ethics and morality. Because tomorrow, all the names that I have given you before, Fauci, Bill Gates, Google, you name the companies. Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg admitted himself that he was under pressure from the Biden-Harris administration to play the game according to the way they wanted. What is the outcome? Can an Indian high court or can an Indian lower court in Jhumri Talaiya or Kadapa issue a stricture that because of the Fauci administration, Fauci gameplay, and the US gameplay in the involvement of COVID, can India sue? And why not? Can India declare that we will not give visas for American executives to travel to India because they interfere in domestic economic policies and political matters? That's the important part. And I'm 100% sure that if I was the leader I would consider that as an option. Think about it from another perspective. In this country, there are not Sikh, Khalistani terrorists who are threatening India, Air India, threatening Indian government, threatening Indian consulates and embassies abroad in London and in Toronto and in the United States. They are masquerading under the banner of freedom. Guess what? Guess who is abusing the freedoms enshrined in the constitutions of democracies? It is the criminal in elements. And look at Trudeau. He is now blaming Modi and Jaishankar and Amit Shah to have conspired and ordered killing of Niger. Democracy, these Western countries, these G7 countries led by America and Canada, are literally and figuratively speaking abusing the very rules they set for others but not for themselves. So, farmers' agitation in India, Trudeau talks about farmers' rights, but here he was imposing emergency powers to shut down the truckers' strike. And even Canadian journalists talked about the fact that it was his constitutional obligation to protect and defend his own country. But if Modi did it, freedom was dead in India. Minorities were being plundered, looted, and butchered. That's the narrative which is important. And that brings me to another element. That what is important here is that leftists and communists are feeling really berserk right now, following Trump's victory and following Modi's survival in 2024 elections. I use the word survival primarily because the concerted effort of India Alliance, supported by these very groups to append Mr. Modi, failed. Rahul Gandhi failed. And as a result of which, Modi is back in power with a bang. He may or may not be able to do everything that he wants to do. But what is true is that he is in power and the opposition is not. If had opposition been in power, as the Congress President Kharge said, he would have put all these people behind bars. He didn't even talk about rule of law. This is what is important, that US CEOs will become a new target, believe it or not, globally. And US ability to force their will upon others through manipulations and use of rules-based orders is going to fall flat. My fear is that, as you know, with the thanks to technology, the way we know the information flow from many social media platforms, truth is out in the open. Allegations, as the report itself says, they are allegations and not proven as guilty. What did Adani do? He cancelled his request for raising $600 million there. Most probably, he will also cancel the $10 billion investment. But there is another big play here. You have seen that how the US government allowed Ukraine to use intercontinental ballistic missiles to attack Russia inside. The British have given their own ICBM instruments to use in Russia. This is important. This is Biden administration, leftists, Marxists, Islamists playing the game to make the pitch for Mr. Trump very queer in terms of dealing with various people. So either Trump has to cancel these and prove that they were not relevant. That will also hurt American pride and American institutions and the trust and faith that people have in America. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a very serious issue. It must not be taken lightly, because when we know the game plan of others, as I always say, the enemies are doing what they want to do. Response is the important element. And this is what is critical. And I feel, as an American, as an Indian American, as a Hindu American, I feel that America is going down a wrong path. This particular administration is taking steps against India because of Modi's bonhomie and friendship with Donald Trump. This happened, and I have said this way back then when Howdy Modi happened in Houston. Modi ji straightway endorsed Trump by saying "Ab ki baar Trump Sarkar," and then there was a big rally in Ahmedabad. We all know about that. The Democrats did not like it, and they decided to teach Modi a lesson. I can tell you that several Democrats had opined that privately, that we will have to teach this man a lesson. This is critical. It is personal. It's directed towards an individual, and in the process, people of India as well. So India is becoming an economic giant. It has created a political clout around the world. All that is an eyesore for the imperial European powers and America, unfortunately, as a part of a NATO ally. This is what is to be borne in mind. My fear is India will survive this. Adani will survive this because when you are making an allegation, it takes time to prove it one way or the other, but it definitely smirches the reputation of the entities involved. India as a country involved, Adani as an investment bank, investment mogul of a kind of his own. It affects the prestige and honor. The reputation element does get hurt. And that's what the gameplay is all about. It's political jockeying going on to somewhere along the line undermine India and Indian investments. So I feel America is on the wrong track. And I think US is going to end up checkmating itself because every single aspect, US is losing the capability of receiving a benefit of doubt. People are no longer willing to give America the benefit of doubt. Yes, America is a strong country, it's a big country, it has significant clout around the world, but when you forfeit your goodwill, it hurts. It's very difficult to regain the goodwill and trust that you lose forever. And that's what I would say today. And what I want to say is that I'm unhappy about it. I'm unhappy because we know there are definite groups who are trying to target India, and that India must respond powerfully to this. Do not allow the rules based regulations to overpower you. Instead, get up, get going, and establish your own rules of laws for your country, how to protect and defend your own country, your own investments, because India is rising. And America will do well to keep this particular fact in mind that a country that you call a strategic ally and a natural partner, you must not insult them time and again. It is America's turn to earn the respect and the respect and the trust of people of India and the government of India. I, as an American, I hope it happens. Thank you very much for watching. Please like, subscribe, and support our channel. As I always say, Satyameva Jayate. For truth to triumph, you have to stand up and fight for it. Thank you.